Hello and welcome. This is day one of the Summer Rejuv Challenge. This is Alexandra Epple and I'm going to be your marvelous guide through this challenge. You're in the right place if you are struggling with fatigue and exhaustion. I gather from our private Facebook group that that is one of the things that you guys are struggling with the most. But there's other heat type symptoms that arise in the summertime that you may not even be aware of. And you're here to get a grip on them so that you can shine in your body and you can be as healthy as you can be. My intention for this challenge is to give you practical and down-to-earth steps to do to keep your energies in balance. So as you can see, here on this board I wrote down three words: Vata, Pitta and Kapha. That gives me away as an Ayurvedic practitioner and someone who works with the forces of nature, because that is really what Ayurveda is about. And I'm here to educate you so that you can be the best that you can be. First of all, I need to give you a little bit of a macro view of what is happening in the summertime so that you understand why you need to eat certain foods, live a certain lifestyle, and do certain actions or not do them. Because otherwise it doesn't make any sense, right? I'm all into the why should I do something. If I don't know the why, it's going to be a lot harder to do. So let me start out by saying that there are three different types of energy in the universe. And we call them Vata, Pitta and Kapha in Ayurveda. So Vata is the energy of air and ether. And air and ether are very light, they're dry. And so the Vata energy is rather expansive and leads to a lot of enthusiasm and excitement about life. Pitta energy is fire and a little bit of water. And exactly that energy that prevails in the summertime. So we got Pitta is hot because fire is in it. And it's the only one of those three energies, Vata, Pitta and Kapha. Pitta is the only one that has heat in it. And then we have Kapha energy, that's the stability and the grounding energy. And that's comprised of water and earth. And depending on which season we are in, either one of these energies prevail more than the other. So if you will, say there was no season, then we would have sort of a balanced energy, like Vata is this much, Pitta is this much, and Kapha is this much. But because we have seasons and things are shifting and shape-shifting, in the fall we have more Vata energy. In the winter or in the spring, late winter, early spring, we have Kapha energy more. And in the summertime, we have more Pitta energy, which is that fiery energy. That's easy to understand because fire equals heat, right? And in the summer it's hot, and it has been incredibly hot lately. So what's happening in the summertime is that this Pitta energy rises. And if we don't take care to bring that back down to its natural state, we're going to end up with a lot of things. We're going to end up with more loose stools and going to the bathroom, number two, much more often, which actually dehydrates the body. So elimination, the body uses elimination to get rid of heat, but at the same time there's also water leaving the body, leading to dehydration. Also, you may notice that you have more heartburn or acidity in your digestive system. You may feel more burning, for example, burning when you poop or burning in the rest of your body. Heat symptoms like inflammatory symptoms like, say, Crohn's disease or the overall arching irritable bowel disease that is driven by inflammation. You may feel it more during the summertime. Also, if you have arthritis or rheumatoid arthritis, you'll feel that it's probably flaring up in the summertime more than it would in the fall or the spring. So those are just a few things. Then fatigue, you know, the thing about Pitta energy, it has this ability, or not the ability, but it rises and it concentrates. So it makes you very focused. The more Pitta you have, either in your nature or because of the season or because of the lifestyle that you're living, the more Pitta that you have, the more energy is channeled upward and pointed in towards focus and getting things done. And while that's a good thing in our society, right, it's a very valued thing to get things done, if it goes into overdrive and into excess, then we get overly critical, overly judgmental, overly angry in the summertime, where it's harder to stay cool-headed. And what it also does is it gets us into this overdrive mode, right? And you were telling me that fatigue is a big issue in the summertime, right? Because that energy outside, it calls us to do things like, oh, it's sunny outside, I gotta go out and work in the garden, and I gotta get my shit done in the office too, and I don't want to go to the river, and there's constantly, it's calling us to activity. So if we don't take measures to keep that Pitta at bay, it just gets us into overdrive. And so that's what we are focusing on here in this challenge, is to keep that Pitta at bay so that it serves us, but it doesn't drown us. Another way to illustrate what is happening throughout the seasons, if you're into visuals like I am. So what's happening is that each of these energies, Vata, Pitta and Kapha, they have an accumulation, an aggravation and an alleviation phase. An accumulation, aggravation and an alleviation phase. And that's a good thing. So it means, for example, in the early or rather in the late spring, Pitta starts to accumulate. In the summer it aggravates, and in the fall it alleviates. Then again in the spring it accumulates, in the summer it aggravates, and it alleviates. So if I were to draw that, say this is the Pitta energy, sort of a curve, that's a good thing. That's normal. Every season has their flavor to it, if you will, right? So this is the Pitta curve. Now Vata does the same thing, but in different seasons. So Vata rises in the summertime, it aggravates in the fall, and it alleviates in the spring. It accumulates in the summertime, it aggravates in the fall, and it drops or alleviates again in the spring. So if we were to say this is summer, right? So Vata is starting to accumulate in the summer, it aggravates in the fall, and it alleviates. So it would look like this. And then the spring season is Kapha season. It's that heavy grounding sort of energy. Has a completely different energy to it, and we need to eat differently and act differently in each of those seasons. And that keeps us really in balance. So in Kapha season, so let's say this is summer and this is fall, right? And in Kapha starts to accumulate in the fall, and it aggravates in the spring and alleviates in the summer. So it looks like this. So there's this beautiful rhythm that is happening seasonally, and as long as we honor that rhythm with our food and lifestyle choices, we are actually in good shape in our body and our minds. If we aren't honoring that with our diet and lifestyle choices, then what's happening in the summertime, we get the red out again, in the summer, instead of this alleviating, this is starting to go into overflow. We call this overflow. and it's starting to really rise to a place that's not healthy. And it goes back to what I said before, then you will see more inflammatory things in your body, you will see more loose stools or diarrhea, you'll get more heartburn, hyperacidity, hard time to stay cool-headed, you feel more critical, more judgmental, more angry more quickly, more so than you're used to maybe in the winter time. You may be exploding much more quickly. And also the fatigue comes because you're going into overdrive. So those are just a few things that are happening. But really the skillful and wise thing to do is to do those practices that we're going to talk about in this challenge. So today I want to offer you an action step in terms of food. And below this video you'll find, or somewhere around this video, you'll find a summer grocery list. And that gives you all the foods that are cooling, because here it goes. There's a simple there's a simple principle you need to know about, actually. It goes like increases like, and opposites decrease each other. You'll understand that in a second. Let me explain. Let's talk about Pitta, since we're talking, this is a summer Rejuv challenge, right? And Pitta has certain qualities to it. We're talking about 10 different pairs of opposite qualities, but I'm going to tell you 3 of them. That's going to be plenty for you to understand the principle. So Pitta is dry. It is also hot. Surprise, surprise, because fire is hot, right? Dryness comes because when heat falls on the earth, let's say, it dries it out, right? When heat comes onto your skin, ultimately it dries it out. So heat has a drying quality. So we got dry, hot, and light. Those are 3 of the main qualities. So now if you go back to the principle of like increases like, if you're feeding your body something that is dry, hot, and light, it's going to increase that Pitta and shoots it through the roof. So we need to bring in the opposite qualities, opposite of dry, hot, and light, in order to balance us out. So the opposite of dry is moist. The opposite of hot is cold. The opposite of light is heavy. So we got moist, cold, and heavy. Those are the qualities that we need to bring into our bodies through our food and through our lifestyle choices. So the summer grocery list I was talking about has all the foods on it that are Pitta reducing. They are likely to be cool, heavy, and moist. Or some of them may just be cool and heavy, some of them may just be cold and moist. They don't always have all of the qualities, but they have enough of the qualities that they will reduce that fiery Pitta energy. So your action step is to print out that grocery list and mark 5 to 10 foods that jump out at you, where you say, oh, those are attractive to me. And then make at least 3 dishes over the next 5 days with mainly those ingredients. And note, you don't have to avoid all the other foods that are not on this list, but primarily, like 80% of the time, eat from this list, and that will keep your Pitta at bay. So there's also some recipes that are below this video or somewhere around this video, or that we are sharing in the Facebook group, so keep your eyes out. And yeah, and the other thing I wanted to point out about this list, look at the spices section. I mean, we could have a whole conversation, like a 2-hour conversation about spices. But what I want to point out about the spice section is that you will find only spices in that section that are cooling. In other words, non-spicy. One of the 3 main spices that are cooling are fennel, cumin, and coriander. Then there is cilantro and peppermint. Those are wonderful spices for the summertime. What's not good for the summertime is chili peppers and black pepper and dry ginger. Even fresh ginger can drive you through the roof, because those are all more towards, have more of the heating quality. So, I mean, there's so much more to say, but I leave it at that. Print out that grocery list and start your shopping today and make 3 of those dishes below. And I will see you tomorrow with day 2 of the Summer Rejuv Challenge. Tomorrow we are going to talk about beverages and what beverages are the right thing for the summertime. So until then, bye for now, and I will talk with you very soon.